Let's start with the Scrum Team. Regarding the Scrum Team, there are 3 roles that are available inside of a Scrum Team. You have the Scrum Master, you have the Product Owner, and you have the Development Team. Each one of these roles has specific rights and has a specific goal to achieve when inside of a Scrum Team. So let's start with the Product Owner. The main goal of a product owner inside the Scrum team is to maximize the value of the product and of the development team. It should be one person, and one person that should have no other role inside of the Scrum team. Respect. Development team only works with the requirements that are elicited and are worked within the product owner authority. The product owner is the one responsible for managing the product backlog. So the idea is that the product owner is the owner of the product, as the name says, and it can be seen as the customer representative that has a specific goal inside of the team. The idea is to maximize the value of the product while respecting the development team. The idea is that all the items present in the product backlog, we will see that product backlog is a list of items to do. Okay, let's consider it like this. It's where all the requirements are. Okay, the idea is that those items should be clearly expressed. They should be ordered, and the order is directly related to the priorities of the customer. But then the other criteria for the ordering of items is to optimize the value. A product backlog is visible. Everyone sees the product backlog, is transparent. There are no hidden agendas inside of product backlog and clear to the Scrum team. So everyone should look at the items in the product backlog and should know what they mean and what needs to be done in order to deliver them as features and working requirements for the client. The development team has a couple of considerations because someone has got to do the work, right? Work implies, inside of the Scrum framework, to deliver potentially releasable increments of done product. So this is basically the working software feature that is stated in the Agile Manifesto. So the development team is the set of people that actually work and deliver the software product as a done product. The development team is self-organizing and cross-functional. So usually you have designers, testers, developers. Everyone inside of the development team does not have a specific role. So inside of the development team, you have several roles, but everyone is a team member, okay? And they all self-organize, so everyone is committed to achieving the same goal inside of the team. What is the size of a development team? Or what should be the size of a development team? From the Scrum Guide, the idea is that the number should be small enough so that the development team could remain nimble and a working unit, but should be large enough to complete significant work within a sprint. So the idea is to reach for an equilibrium where the numbers are between 3 and 9 members of each team. So basically, if you have lower than 3 members inside of a development team, the interaction between team members is significantly reduced. And the productivity gains are also reduced because you don't have enough people to complete the work. And the skill constraints are enlarged because if you have fewer people, you don't have the cross-functionality that should be addressed inside of a self-organizing team. If you have a number that is larger than 9 on the opposite side, you are augmenting the coordination inside the team, and you are also augmenting the complexity inside of the team. So the size of a Scrum team should be between 3 and 9 people. Let's now take a look at the Scrum Master. The idea and the main goal of a Scrum Master is to ensure that Scrum is understood and that people work according to the framework, according to the rules, according to their role, okay, and actually act upon the mindset that should be established for an inside Scrum. The role should be seen as a servant leader. So the idea of a Scrum Master is someone that leads the entire team, but actually is in the position where it will also serve everyone inside of the team by helping everyone, not only by understanding Scrum, but also to allow to remove impediments, technical impediments or personal impediments that aren't making for the team possible to actually achieve the goal that the team has committed to. Similar to what happens in the product owner role, the Scrum Master should also be one single person. And it should be very clear that that person is the Scrum Master and only that person is the Scrum Master, and that person should have no other role inside of the Scrum team. The idea is to help everyone understand and change their interactions within and with the Scrum team. Maximize value created by the Scrum team. So while the product owner maximizes the value of the product and of the development team, the idea for the Scrum Master is to maximize the value within all the Scrum team. That includes the product owner. Let's look at the interactions between a Scrum Master and the product owner. The Scrum Master should help the product owner to find techniques to effectively manage the product backlog. There are a couple of things that should be clear in the product backlog. Not only the text that describes each item, but also the priorities that should be visible to everyone else. The idea is to have them understand that items present in the backlog should be clear and concise, because the development team needs to understand very well what it needs to be done. Okay, so regarding the product planning in an empirical environment, the idea is to also allow product owners to evolve on their plans, and specifically in the framework, a sprint allows for an iteration to occur, and then the new planning for the new sprint, for the new iteration, will be based on what happened in the previous sprint. So this experimental environment allows the evolution of the entire work of the team, and specifically of the work that needs to be conducted by a product owner. The Scrum Master can also help the product owner to arrange the product backlog to maximize value, because each item in the product backlog, besides the priority that it has for the customer, also has a value, a business value associated, and this business value needs also to be maximized. Finally, product owners should understand what is agility and should practice it. Scrum Master is always available to facilitate Scrum events on demand or when needed. A look at the Scrum Master and the development team interaction takes us to a coach role, where the Scrum Master needs to address the needs of a team, of the development team, in order to enable them and to make them think as a self-organizing team and cross-functional team where everyone helps everyone. On the other hand, this coach will also enable a very good protection of the team. So once the development starts and an iteration starts, the Scrum Master needs to address the fact that no one should be interacting with the team, because The team and the work that the team is conducting needs to be protected so that they can focus internally and deliver to what they committed. The idea is to show them that they can create high value products, remove impediments. Those impediments could be technical, social, professional, and have several levels of risk associated. He is always helpful in facilitating Scrum events by demand or when needed. Inside of an organization, a Scrum Master is someone that should lead and coach on the Scrum adoption by the entire organization. The idea is to plan specific Scrum implementations so that in the future, those Scrum implementations can upscale up the entire organization. The idea is to help everyone understand and act in the Scrum mindset and present the effective results of productivity and the way the productivity increases inside of a Scrum team. The idea is that Scrum Masters always work to increase the overall effectiveness of the organization, and the idea is to present this clearly to the upper management. A Scrum team should be self-organizing, should be cross-functional, should deliver products iteratively and incrementally, maximizing opportunities for feedback, and this leads us to the events.